We love outdoor adventures. But can we still do all of these with a baby? When Aaron turned 14 months old, we decided to give it a shot. We took him to do 2 adventures we've been wanting to do for a long time. Subway and Narrows at Zion National Park. Let's roll. Located in southern Utah, Zion National Park is only 2.5 hours drive from Vegas. It doesn't have the fame of Yellowstone or Yosemite, and most people only spend a day driving through the park, barely scratch the surface. But if you want to explore and have an adventurous heart, this is heaven. If you're willing to hike, to scramble, to swim, and to rappel, you'll be rewarded with fantastic adventures and breathtaking views. This is definitely one of my favorite national parks in the US. One of the classic adventure in Zion is called Subway. It's known for the short slot canyon, just look like subway tunnel. When the reflected sunlight came in the early afternoon, it just looked unreal. We have attempted this before having kids. Our goal is to photograph the classic Subway Canyon. It was a 10-mile hike down the beautiful canyon called Left Fork of North Creek. They're not very creative in names, are they? We hiked through different terrain. We had to scramble down the steep section. We rappelled a couple times. And we swam through the slot canyon filled with water. It was a lot of fun. But the thing is, 15 minutes before we reached the subway section, our dry back leaked and the water damaged our camera. We couldn't take any picture and came back empty-handed. And now we have our second chance. But we have a baby. Luckily, there's an easier way to do this. You can hike this route called bottom up, where you go from the bottom of the canyon, go up the canyon to the subway section, then come the way back. It's still a 9-mile round trip, but there's no technical section required rappel or swimming. That's where we went. We had a very early start that day because we wanted to get to the subway section by 1:30. That's when the light is the best. The trail is relatively straightforward. We start at the rim of the canyon, we scale the canyon wall for about 400 elevation feet, then we reach the bottom canyon, there's a river. The next 4.5 miles is just hiking along the river. The hike along the river is not steep, but still somewhat challenging because you have to cross the river many times or hop over big boulders or even hike up the canyon wall just to avoid the difficult section in the river. It's challenging but still very doable. We stopped many times to let Aaron come out to either have a snack or play around. Overall, it's a very fun hike. At noon, we reached the subway section. That's where the goodies are. First, we're welcomed by this pretty cascade flowing down the red rock. It may look just okay on video, but if you use your camera to capture it with long exposure, it's like this. Next, there's this crack on the ground where a lot of water flowing by, and they look really good under long exposure. After 2 appetizers, it's time for the entree. Subway Canyon, just 5 minutes away. Being able to finish Subway was super satisfying, especially we did it with our 1-year-old. And the frustration from damaged camera last time made this even sweeter. But this is not our only Zion adventure. Next morning, we went down to hike Narrows. Narrows is another Zion classic. It's the narrowest section of Zion Canyon, where it's 2,000 feet tall, only 10 to 20 feet wide. It's a pretty challenging hike because we're in the water all the time, but at the same time it's so rewarding because after every single bend, there's new scenery.
I hope you enjoy our adventures. We did it with our 1-year-old. When fully prepared, you can enjoy those exciting adventures with your family too. Now I'm going to share your 5 tips for you to plan your trip. Number 1, be aware of a flash flood. When it rains, rainwater will pass through the canyon at as high as 70 miles per hour, make it extremely dangerous. So if there's a forecasting rain, do not go. Number 2, pick the right season. The trail can be hiked from spring to fall, but in early spring, when the snow melts, the water level will be too high. The summer can be a bit too hot in Zion National Park. Also, the presence of thunderstorm makes the flash flood risk a little bit higher. My personal recommendation is to go either late spring or the fall. In the first week of November, there's fall foliage in Zion National Park, make it an additional feature. Number 3, be there early. To photograph Subway, you have to get to the Subway Canyon at 1 o'clock. It's a long hike from the start to there, so be there early. For Narrows, all of the photography opportunity happen in the morning, so be there before noon, because in the afternoon everything's washed out. Number 4, bring the proper gears. In the summer you may be able to get away with shorts or regular water shoes, but in spring or fall, when the water is cold, you need wet pants and fully enclosed water shoes. The good news is that there are many rental shops in Springdale offering them, so get them the night before so that you're ready to go next morning. Number 5, if you go to Subway, you need a permit. National Park Service, they only offer 50 spots to go into the Subway Canyon every day, so do make a reservation ahead of time. I believe you can start booking 3 months ahead of time, so definitely get a permit before you book your flight. If you can, grab 2 days, because if one day the weather's bad, you still have the second chance. So that's all the tips. I hope you have a fantastic adventures. And again, if you like this video, please leave a comment and subscribe.